A beautiful wife, a generous bank account, and a life he considers perfect. At least on the surface, that's what Oscar believes he has. To him, Malva embodies the ideal woman. Young, blonde, dazzlingly beautiful, and easygoing, always ready to accompany him, spend his money, and wrap his routine in comfort and pleasure. Oscar looks at his world with self-satisfaction, as if it were a show designed just for him. However, something invisible is cracking beneath the surface. Everything seems in order, but his life is built on silences he prefers to ignore. Oscar savors glasses of expensive wine while chatting with his best friend about the ever-changing price of stocks. He talks about markets as if they were his own private game. He boasts about how much he can spend and how well things are going for him. He lives in a huge, immaculate house in a neighborhood where only the wealthy reside. He claims he has everything and settles comfortably into that certainty. The calm is shattered when a young man named Franco walks through the door with Malva. She guides him kindly, shows him the house, takes him to the kitchen, offers him water, and tells him to make himself at home, while a silent tension begins to grow. The atmosphere, once warm, turns strange, as if the house itself senses that something is about to break. Franco tries to relax, but he doesn't fit in. Malva watches him with curiosity. She asks him short questions, testing him. He admits with a proud shyness that he is passionate about photography, as if revealing that detail might bring him closer to the house that intimidates him. Then Oscar appears. He is unsettled to see a stranger in his kitchen. He asks who he is, but before Malva can answer, the young man steps forward and claims to be his son. Oscar freezes, caught off guard by the surprise. Franco hugs him enthusiastically. Oscar pretends to be calm, says kind words, but his body recoils from the contact. That night they sit down to dinner as if they were the perfect family. Oscar remains stiff and cold, unable to accept a son he claims not to know. Malva tries to smooth things over, steering the conversation toward lighter topics. Franco responds hopefully and seeks a connection. Oscar replies with short, obligatory phrases. The dinner grows cold in a silence that hurts. Every word seems to weigh twice as much, and every glance Oscar avoids becomes a blow to Franco. The next day, Franco moves around the house as if trying on someone else's suit. He uses the jacuzzi, takes a shower, walks into the kitchen in a loosely tied robe, confident and curious. Oscar's friend comes in and freezes when he sees him. He asks for an explanation. Franco, without hesitation, replies that he is Oscar's son. The man tries to call his friend to confirm, but Oscar doesn't answer and the suspicion lingers in the air. The visitor leaves, confused, leaving behind a trail of uncertainty that seems to seep into every piece of furniture in the place. Even so, the friend invites Franco to his house, out of both hospitality and curiosity. The young man accepts, even though he doesn't know him. They share a light moment, a men's conversation, a simple camaraderie that Franco would have liked to have with his father. He returns with a faint smile, as if for a moment he had found a place to belong. Franco finds Malva in the garden, practicing a kind of yoga at the edge of the pool. He watches her, fascinated, trying to hide the interest he feels for Oscar's partner. She notices his gaze and holds it inquisitive. The sun falls in golden angles on her skin, and Franco feels as if the very air is growing heavier. When he excuses himself and leaves, Malva also follows him with her eyes, with an expression no one quite understands, and the attraction becomes a latent danger. The next day they cross paths again. They are more comfortable, eat strawberries and talk calmly. Malva confesses that Oscar never spoke to her about children, and admits that Franco's arrival surprised her. They sit together at the edge of the pool, far too close. The atmosphere is filled with a new complicity, warm and uncomfortable. They behave like two young people flirting. Days later, Franco tries to get closer to Oscar. He seeks the conversation that could start a real relationship. Oscar is absorbed in his work, barely even looks at him. He makes it clear with annoyance that he doesn't have time. Franco insists. Oscar responds curtly, distant, automatic. He wants to end the exchange as soon as possible, and Franco is left hanging, without answers. The frustration gets stuck in his chest, like a sentence he can never finish. Faced with his father's coldness, Franco invests his time in Malva. She poses in a swimsuit by the pool. She changes her pose with a precise mix of flirtatiousness and confidence. The light reflects off the water and draws flashes on her skin. Franco photographs her tirelessly, attentive to every gesture, every curve, every expression. A couple of nights later, Franco returns to Oscar. He thanks him for letting him stay. Oscar responds with the bare minimum, a good that sounds like a closing remark. Franco asks for an explanation for the years of absence. He says he needs to understand in order to forgive him. The silence that follows feels like a wall. Oscar remains guarded, unable to open up to a young man he barely recognizes. The conversation stumbles before it even begins. The words dissolve between them like wet leaves. Instead of answering, Oscar orders him to go to sleep. Franco no longer accepts evasion. He insists, pushes, demands that he take responsibility for the harm his absence caused. Oscar remains silent, without a word, without a gesture. After that rejection, Franco seeks refuge in Malva and in Oscar's friend, who begins to serve as a substitute adult figure. The three of them share drinks, laugh, and take pills that lower their inhibitions. Music blares around the pool. Their bodies loosen up. Control dissolves. They dance and disconnect, as if chaos could drown out the weight that haunts them. That afternoon, Oscar talks to Malva. He lets his guard down for a moment and confesses that he loves her, that with her, he can say things he can't say to anyone else. But Malva betrays that trust, crosses the line, and starts a forbidden relationship with Franco. What had only been hinted at is confirmed through gestures and closeness, and the marriage, perfect on the outside, is shaken at its core. Meanwhile, Oscar faces serious problems with loan sharks. He owes them a lot of money. When he returns home, the conflicts pile up. Franco waits for him with new hope. He tells him that he wants to stay and study something related to photography. Oscar laughs, reminding him that he's already an adult and can take care of himself. He makes it clear that he won't pay for any degree, nor allow him to keep living there. Franco listens and realizes that to Oscar, he's just another burden. So he tries to talk to Malva, seeking understanding but finds only distance. She insists that Oscar should worry more about his son, open up to him, and learn something from his youth. The comment provokes a bitter laugh from Oscar. He says he's fed up with both of them, as if they were the cause of his misery. Malva lowers her gaze and lets the exhaustion settle between them. A couple of days later, Franco confronts his father one last time. With a trembling voice, he asks why he was abandoned. He confesses that he always wanted a father who would guide him, love him, and hug him when the world became too heavy. Oscar coldly declares that he is not that kind of father and never will be. Franco can only manage to say that he doesn't understand him. Later, in the shower, the water falls but cannot drown out his sobs, and the absence becomes unbearable. That afternoon, Oscar tells Malva almost indifferently that Franco will be leaving. She is even more disappointed. She realizes that the man she lives with is incapable of feeling anything real for his own son. She calmly tells him that they will end their relationship. The castle Oscar built with money collapses with a phrase he cannot buy. "I don't feel anything for you." It's the kind of truth that cuts deeper than any debt. Oscar thinks it's a joke, a tantrum. Malva insists. It's final. She doesn't want to stay with someone who seems to have no feelings or who lost them long ago. Without a son and without a wife, Oscar is left alone in a house that is now far too quiet. He moves forward in a daze, opens the safe, and takes out a gun. He loads it with steady hands and walks to his room. He sits on the bed, puts the gun in his mouth, and the man who thought he had it all fades away. The emptiness he denied consuming him completely. Oscar dies the same way he lived, without looking at anyone, without letting anyone look inside him. And an uncomfortable question lingers. What weighs more? What we accumulate, or what we avoid feeling? If you want to discover another gripping story, click on another video.